Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking Games with Kellie and Andrew. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Kellie.
We have a very special guest today. Kellie doesn't even know about this yet.
I don't.
Kellie, look behind you. I got her. She was scared. She was shaking. She thought somebody was behind her.
I have to tell you that I knew that no one was behind me because I am currently on camera and I can see behind me.
See, normally what I do, I feel like we used to have a bit we did a lot. Maybe it was just David Cage that we would bring on regularly. But Kellie would do impressions of the person. And I was about to say Shigeru Miyamoto. But I was scared of what Kellie's impression might turn into for, I don't know, Kellie.
What are you about to say?
You're the one doing the impression.
I have done no such impression.
You really haven't.
I haven't.
I've assigned a bad thing to you that you've done, even though you didn't do it.
Right.
So, but it's fine because our special guest today is actually David Cage.
Right. I hate that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, wee, I am David Cage.
I like that when you're doing it, you smile real big.
You can
You just look really happy to be David Cage.
I couldn't be more chuffed.
All right. Well, how about we get chuffing along? That feels like I shouldn't say that.
Chuffing along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, less away. Oh, I guess I'm starting. Sorry,
I was ready to leave it as long as needed.
I actually have to tell you something. I've been trying to look for the perfect picture to put as my background during this conversation, so it does look like someone's behind me.
Yeah. Is there any of David Cage, like a picture of David Cage standing ominously in the distance?
No, that would be very upsetting to me. I do not wish to see him in any capacity, including behind me, in front of me, next to me. I don't want that negativity in my life.
Okay.
But I will start today with not great news. I'm going to take the strawberry filter off my face. It feels a little inappropriate. This story is interesting. The way that it has been linked to me. But I see that the Marvel Rival Support Studio director Thaddeus Sasser.
That's a name.
Has shared that him and his team have been laid off. So a whole team working on Marvel Rivals support has been laid off. I'm sorry. The designer's name is Jack Burrows. And he posted on LinkedIn that he was laid off from this position. This was not NetEase, but it was a group working with NetEase, because NetEase is the parent company, the people who created Marvel Rivals. So
yeah,
completely nonsensical. Don't know why. As we all know by now, Marvel Rivals is a very successful game. So it's very alarming to get news like this for seemingly no reason. Not that there's ever a good reason, but there's almost no reason.
I mean, these individuals probably thought they had incredible job security because the game was doing so well. It sounds like they're kind of trying to focus and bring things into China, like specifically keep things all under the NetEase umbrella. But the fact that this team worked on in any capacity a game like this that is such a moneymaker and their reward right after a successful launch is being let go just feels absurd to me.
Yeah.
Even when you succeed, you're not guaranteed to maintain your job in this industry.
Yeah.
So
it is very alarming. I think that it's particularly, I feel like when I was growing up, I was always I want to work in video games. I want to work on video games.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine that is something that a lot of people in my age and maybe a little bit older had also gone through and actually pursued that, and now it's like the industry itself is just so scary.
So unreliable.
Yeah, not great.
Another massive loss for the industry. Monolith Productions under Warner Brothers has been shut down. You might know them as the creators of Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor, both of those games, and a number of other games. The game that they were working on was the Wonder Woman video game, and that has been canceled. Warner Brothers also, at the same time, shuttered Player First Games, which is the creators of Multiverses. That one's not the most surprising in the world. I guess the thing is both of these are not the most surprising in the world, because we recently, last episode, talked about how Wonder Woman was in troubled waters. It was not going well. Development was going very poorly from what we had heard. And they just recently shut down future production for Multiverses. Again, like we kind of clarified there, it's going to be available to play offline still if you have it, but other than that, it's essentially a dead game. And they also shut down Warner Brothers Games San Diego, which my understanding is they're more of a support team, and we don't know what they were working on at this exact moment. But this is a pretty big hit. I mean, Monolith has made basically exclusively well-received games. They're a monolith in the video game industry, you might say. You wouldn't say that, though, because that would be silly and corny. But I'm just really... Warner Brothers is a whole thing. I feel like we've been revealing this slow descent for the past, 6 months? When they said that comment about how they need to really focus in on, like, their key properties, their DC, in parentheses, specifically Batman. So they should just say Batman. Their Game of Thrones. Their... What else do they have?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. I think there's one other one. Does not matter. Anything outside that is just dying now, and they're just getting rid of it. So, Lord of the Rings, right? That's not Warner Brothers.
I don't think so. I think Lord of the Rings is kind of up in the air right now.
They're owned by, remember, because it's like the weird like Embracer stuff?
Yeah, like the Tolkien estate, like, I feel like has licensed them out to a lot of different companies, which is why we're seeing way more Lord of the Rings stuff in like we're getting that cozy Hobbit game, and then we also got the Gollum game, and now we're getting like the dwarf miner game, and then it's all over the place right now.
Yes.
So I don't know I don't know that's the actual situation with Lord
not
of the Rings.
What WB is doing. Warner Brothers is very much centralizing versus decentralizing. And that fourth item, whoa, I just looked at Mortal Kombat. It left my brain again. I looked at the list of those four things, which was, again, DC, specifically Batman, which is so funny they have to specify that. Game of Thrones, Mortal Kombat, and Harry Potter. That's just like such a short list. If they want to work in video games, they should be willing to, branch out, work with teams, create interesting properties, but they're just slimming down so much that it's like, you guys aren't doing great. You're not going to do better by slimming down. The new Mortal Kombat was apparently a disappointment. DC is not good for video games. They just canceled Wonder Woman. What came out last year? Suicide Squad. Was that last year or was that 2023? Doesn't matter. And their only real success, and granted, it's a big one. It's a really big one, but their only success in this recent past was the Harry Potter game.
Yeah.
What was that thing called?
Hogwarts Legacy.
It's great. My brain I cannot remember things.
It's funny. Before this episode started, I was like, Andrew, I have a headache. I might not be 100 today. And I feel like I'm still not 100, but.
I'm even less than what you are.
No, I mean, I agree. I think it's just like, but the truth is, like, that Harry Potter game was so successful. It's like in the top sold games of all time, and somehow they can't coast off of its success. Like, I don't necessarily understand that. And I just feel like DC has always been playing the catch-up game in like with the movies too. Marvel was really dominating the movie scene from like 2012 to like 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like in like Marvel games, I mean, Spider-Man, pretty big deal. Obviously, Marvel Rivals is new, but that's also a big deal. And you just don't see DC in that space. And I think that it's unfortunate because it feels like Wonder Woman consistently is the one that gets shafted. Um, I'm not necessarily saying Superman is given preferential treatment either, but I don't know. It just feels like the big three of DC are Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, and it feels like Batman's really the only thing they seem to really focus on, even with like Kill the Justice League. What's it called?
Suicide Squad.
I know, but what's the game called? It's like
Kill the Justice League. Yeah.
Oh, it's called Kill. Okay, I wasn't sure if that was the word they used.
Yeah.
Even with that, it was like it felt like it was so and obviously it was focused on Batman because of Kevin Conroy. That's his name, right? Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
That was like his last role as Batman.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but I mean, I'm like seriously, that is unfortunate. Rest in peace. But I just feel like I don't know. It's really more than the property, more than the story, more than the game, whatever. I feel very badly for these people who have been a part of this industry for a long time and are just like, see ya. Like, oh, you didn't make one of the most successful games of all time? See ya. It just sucks.
And there's like rumors that Rocksteady is being pushed back into making another Batman game now. And I'm like, yeah, they open and close that book. They made 3 really successful games that people loved.
Yeah.
And they wanted to be done. Like, it's kind of that trilogy is a trilogy. It's meant to be played as 3 and be done. So forcing them to make another Batman game right after you force them to make their Suicide Squad game live service, it's just really disappointing. That Suicide Squad game was such a missed opportunity. I was genuinely so excited for it because Rocksteady is so brilliant. And the idea of 4 unique characters like that is really cool. And then it just turned into a generic shooter with so much live service crap.
Yeah.
So, rest in peace, Monolith. You'll be missed.
Yes. We also got news of a delay, kind of a big one, I would say, arguably. Fable, the next Fable game, has been delayed to 2026. I don't know that this was necessarily super surprising because we really haven't seen much of anything with this game, but it does feel kind of rare now when you hear about a delay. I don't know, like I feel like there was a period of time in maybe like 2021 to 2022 where games were just getting delayed like constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like
all
that's
we reported on.
Yeah, I feel like that sort of flowed backwards a little bit. And like the latest one was like Assassin's Creed, and then now this as well. So maybe we're entering the delay arena again, which would suck. But yeah, so Fable has been delayed to 2026, which I personally am a little bit disappointed because I do like the Fable games, and I was looking forward to seeing more of this one, but probably have to wait. I guess 2026 is in a year, And it
could be early 26.
That's true. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we will get to see more of it later this year. I mean, I'm sure we will, but maybe in the summertime we'll get to see more of it.
Yeah, we kind of got to see it at the summer game time.
Summer game time.
Well, I'm trying to think of like what you call the period that was E3 now, because everybody does like their own thing.
Summer game time.
Well, Summer Game Fest is its own thing. Summer Game Time.
Game Jubilee.
Yes, that's better. Well, because then that includes Summer Game Fest, that includes the Nintendo Direct, that includes the Xbox presentation, that includes the probable PlayStation thing.
Right.
So we should call that bundle, which what used to be E3, we'll call that bundle Summer Game Time.
We should call it E4.
I don't think that joke's been made before. I think that was a new one. You look so ashamed.
You throw something at the wall, you see what sticks.
And sometimes I knock the wall down with a sledgehammer and I say, don't throw things at that.
Yeah, I'll accept defeat on that one.
Somebody I wish would accept defeat is Xbox. I mean, I guess they did because Fable got delayed to 2026. But the bad thing that they announced that I would say is way worse is the introduction of Muse, which is a new AI tool for game creation. So this is going to be used. It's being advertised as kind of a helpful tool for gameplay ideation, which to me sounds like the worst thing to do with video game AI is to make the game design. Like, I think AI could fill in gaps pretty nicely for video game development. Oh, procedurally generated, you know, environments, textures, AI upscaling, that kind of stuff. That's good. That's cool. Make my games look better. Make my games run better. Cool. Great. Awesome. Don't design them for me.
Yeah, I think that this is one of those things you see. AI is such a boom right now that an AI has existed in video games for a very long time, but this is generative AI, which is obviously different, and using it to create, like to in creative ventures, generating like gameplay, it just doesn't. It's to me, it's intellectually bankrupt. It is creatively bankrupt. It is morally dubious. And I feel that it just really goes to show like these big companies, they hop on the trend and then, and even in, if you look on the story that you've linked, and if our viewer or listeners are ever interested in learning more about this technology, and they look on the web page where it is displayed, the gameplay samples literally look like other games. They don't look
Mm-hmm.
like anything new. They look like if someone took Overwatch and ran it through a really bad smeary filter. So I don't really know why they would use that
I
as
guess
their example, because it looks like doggy doo doo, if you will. Um,
I guess the main game that was used as like training material was Bleeding Edge, which is a dead live service game that came out probably the best time a live service game could come out imaginable, which is early 2020. It literally, let's see, I think it came out in March 24th, 2020. There's literally not a better time to release a video game ever in the history of our planet. There has never been a better time to release a video game than March of 2020. And it still died. Uh, and if you look at side by side of like Bleeding Edge gameplay and what the weird samples they're showing, it's just stealing. Like, it's not new
yes.
gameplay ideas. It's just Bleeding Edge. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, it looks like, oh, it. I love your description. It looks like somebody took a paintbrush and they had Overwatch and they just went like and just scribbled it a bunch.
Yeah. I don't. I find that this kind of stuff is really startling because it feels like industries are shifting towards this less human touch. Like they're obviously shifting toward a cheaper model of creation. But if they're all pulling from each other's data, it just leads to this cyclical garbage, like put garbage in, get garbage out, like over and over and over again. And it's so interesting that they used Bleeding Edge of all games to base this off of. Um, I don't know. I just feel like this is really like it's dark, it's dire, it's just it's very unpleasant to reckon with. I think that, not to get too deep, but like
Do it.
in like profession, you see this is expanding more and more. Like AI is being encouraged more and more across a lot of different avenues, and there, I just don't see. It just feels like there is coincidentally this rise of anti-intellectualism happening at the same time as this rise of AI. Like
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to put in the creative legwork, and I think that is not. I think it leads to things being less engaging, less fun, less memorable, less human. And I think that was probably, it will be extremely cheaper in the long run, but I think that it will be, I don't know. I think people will just not, I don't know. I
It
just don't think that I don't think that it's worth engaging with. And I think that if you're just like I said, if you're just stealing from something, it's just like a cycle of like garbage in, garbage out. But
mm-hmm. It's frustrating because AI has such positive potential in this space. Like I was talking about, like there's so much that AI could do to improve video games on a fundamental level. Part of the reason that video games are such long-winded developments is because of how much detail goes into them. That should be something that AI is assisting with rather than assisting with the actual creativity of it. AI
yeah,
should not be writing something for a video game. It should be making it so that uh, Sephiroth's locks look more lovely in my Final Fantasy game. It shouldn't make it so that a voice actor is a fake person, you know?
yeah,
There's so
uh,
much potential for it to be good, and they're using it quite simply the wrong way.
yeah, yeah. Uh, this could be potentially good news after that not so fun story. For those of you who enjoyed Silent Hill 2 remake, Bluebird Team and Konami are continuing their collaboration together with a signing of a new agreement for a joint project. I think maybe we could probably assume what this project might possibly be a part of, because this obviously happened because of Silent Hill 2's success. And they're focusing on a new game based on Konami's IP, which, you know, we know what their IP is, and we know what Bluebird Team does, and
I'm very So the way you're phrasing it, I realize I kind of misread it. I was reading it as a game based on a Konami IP that wasn't Silent Hill, but there's no mention. Like it could very easily be Silent Hill.
yeah, I think I assumed that it would be Silent Hill, like
I think that
maybe
feels
three
likely.
or going back to one. Um, but I have to say I did not have a ton of faith, and I know we've talked about this. I did not have a ton of faith in Bloober Team and their work on Silent Hill 2, especially considering Silent Hill 2 as sort of this like behemoth in
Mm-hmm.
everybody's memory as like the greatest horror game of all time. Um, but if they really pulled it out, and I think that they could do a lot of very interesting things with other Silent Hill games or other Konami properties. Um,
I mean, I do feel like they earned the right to do take a stab at something new if they wanted, like a new Silent Hill game. Silent Hill 2 was so good, and like
that
there
would be
was enough
interesting.
original stuff that I feel like they could do something new. So,
Yeah, I think the thing that's interesting about Silent Hill, and you know, those of you who are familiar with the franchise series, I think those of you who are familiar with the series know what I'm talking about. But Silent Hill 1 and 3 and 4, they're not really the same as 2. They are psychological, but they're more focused on the town as an entity versus 2, which is a lot more focused on the internal story of James. Um,
mm-hmm.
so I think it'd be interesting if Bluebird Team got to do their own thing with Silent Hill Z. Just kidding, too soon. I think it'd be cool if Bluebird Team got to do their own thing and maybe explored more of those themes again. Not to necessarily copycat, but I think there's a lot of potential for very rich stories and very scary stories. Not that that's like the main focus of Silent Hill, but I think the horror is a really important part of it. And I think that it's really grounded horror, even though obviously you're looking at creatures that are monsters, for lack of a better term. But there are elements to them that, like in Silent Hill 2 especially, the whole point of monsters is that they are representations of something a lot deeper. So which they are in 3 as well. But 3, like I said, is more about the town,
Hmm.
and so is 1. And all the spin-offs are more about the town. I don't know. It just feels like 2 was sort of a outlier, and it would be cool if they got to flex that a little bit more. But it would be cool if they went and remade earlier ones. I think it would be cool if they remade 3. I like 3. I like that the protagonist is a woman. I like Heather. Um, and I think it's an interesting story because she's kind of the. I think she's the only one, unless I'm missing a spin-off. All
I
the
mean,
other protagonists are male.
technically, Silent Hill is a short message, but
That's true. I don't really
think I'm
count that, but
stuck.
that is my own folly. So yeah, kind of
I'm
cool.
excited by this, genuinely. I think Bluebird really proved their ability, and I feel like Konami. There's still a lot of badness around Konami, but I feel like they're like veering in the right direction, with the Silent Hill 2 remake, with the general treatment of some of their IP, maybe with that Metal Gear remake. Like, I think they're starting to veer in the right direction. There's a lot of room for them to veer back in the wrong direction, and they still have their hands so, like, yuckily grasped onto gambling that it's like they'll always be kind of icky. Like, if you go to a casino, a literal casino, there's the Konami logo is everywhere there. So
Yeah, I think it's You're right. I think that not that they're buying good faith back, but I think that they're making intelligent decisions to offload these remakes, these beloved remakes, these remakes of beloved games to a team that has shown competence now. And I think that it would be in their best interest to keep doing this to get some goodwill from fans and from the general um, gamers.
yeah.
I'm not a gamer. My favorite Walton Goggins quote.
Walton Goggins will probably not be playing our next game that we're going to talk about, which comes out late 2025, and that is Pokemon Legends ZA. We finally got to see the game during the Pokemon Presents presentation. I didn't need to say that twice. I don't know what I expected, but to be honest, this wasn't it. And I'm feeling good. Asterisk. I have concerns. So, like, I feel like it looks good. It's graphically not that impressive, but a big step up from Arceus. Like, I feel like the bar's so low with Pokemon that when I saw it, I was like, wow. And then I like looked at it again. I was like, but it's way worse than like everything else. It's just better than Arceus, which was kind of ugly. I mean, I loved it. I love Arceus. It's probably my favorite Pokemon game ever. Probably. Maybe not. Maybe Platinum, but Arceus is probably my favorite Pokemon game ever. So reusing the Legends formula, I was already hooked in. And I feel like the idea of it all taking place in one city is not... I'm scared of that. And like they show it in this trailer. Like you can enter like zones of the city where Pokemon run around freely. And I'm like, but if it's all in one city, like no biomes, no like verticality. I mean, you can get on top of a building. That's verticality, but it's a little bit less interesting when it's just like all 90-degree angles and no like up and down and hills and nothing like that. I guess just like the principle of the game is like scaring me. Like I'm scared of. And there's like mechanics that they show. Like the catching mechanics seem just as fun. The battle mechanics actually seem even more interesting. Like in Arceus, you could move around freely during the battle, which kind of made it feel a little bit more dynamic. But now like the Pokemon can move around during battle, meaning they can dodge attacks. Attacks have like area of effects now. So if it's like a straight line attack and your Pokemon steps to the left, that attack didn't hit. Or you can like use attacks to disturb other attacks. And there's like cooldown timers on your attacks and all this like really it's like real time. And I think that's a really cool change for Pokemon. And for me, that's honestly maybe more interesting, because this is clearly like a single player experience with that kind of stuff. You can't really do multiplayer very easily with that kind of idea. But I think because it's a Legends game, I'm pretty locked in and ready to enjoy it. But this trailer gave me like a lot of pause.
Yeah, I I also have thoughts. I think that as a prototype, it looks fine because I do think that the Pokemon Company is probably trying, or and Game Freak, whoever's making these games, I think they are trying to sort of perfect this Legends formula, which is interesting because they haven't even really perfected the Pokemon formula. I mean, the games have been coming out since the 90s and they've been improving with each iteration, and they seem to have hit a stagnation here with Scarlet and Violet. I mean, as much as I enjoyed Scarlet and Violet, um, honestly didn't bring a whole lot to the table, and they looked not great.
Yeah.
Which I know, like, everyone says, like, oh, it's a Pokemon game, you shouldn't expect that much. But it's like, I'm expecting more than what I saw 3 years ago. I'm expecting more than what I saw 5 years ago. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I don't necessarily understand this, like, it just looks not great to me, like, visually. Um, and that's hard for me to get past because I feel like I've done so much excusing for not even older Pokemon games. Any Switch Pokemon game, I've been like, well, it's a Pokemon game. It's a Pokemon game. It doesn't have to look that good. Like, it's open world. Like, look, it's open world. But it's like, come on. I think it looks not great. The textures do not look great. I think the characters look nice, and I like the Pokemon. I think the Pokemon look nice too. I think they like bumped up the saturation or something, which makes them more vibrant, which I enjoy. But the world itself, which to me is honestly, when I'm like with Arceus, Legends Arceus, like the world was nice to me. Like it was nice to look at that and say, okay, open world, let's have a focus on the environments. This obviously is all taking place in the city, which, like, I'm just gonna be honest, Gen 6, completely and totally uninteresting to me. I never really enjoyed it. I don't really enjoy the Pokemon in Gen 6. If this even is Gen 6, I might be getting it totally wrong.
No, you're right.
That's how little I care for it. I think it's just, I really enjoyed Gen 5. And following up with Gen 6 was kind of a disappointment to me. And I didn't care for the story, and I didn't care for the legendaries, and I didn't really care for the setting. So this, I'm just not super enthusiastic about the setting anyway. And to just sort of see that, I don't know, it just doesn't look great to me. I do like the new mechanics that you were talking about, like how the Pokemon can move around. Like it feels like that should be, like maybe this is just the evolution of Pokemon. Maybe this is just the next step. Or maybe this is how the next like mainline game, whatever it will be, will look more like. Not necessarily the same catching mechanics and stuff, but the more like dynamic battling. But it just feels like this is still like it feels like a beta or something. Like it feels like a prototype. Like it doesn't feel like it's quite there, and that is a little alarming to me because they already kind of did that with Arceus, and maybe they should have taken things from that and maybe learned new lessons into this one. And it doesn't feel like they do because Pokemon is such a cash cow. It almost feels like they don't necessarily, not saying that they don't try, because I think that's quite insulting to the people who make these games, but I think that there's an element of like, well, people are going to buy it. So maybe they aren't pushing super hard. Maybe they aren't like, we're going to make it look really nice. We're going to make it run really well. I don't know. I was just very unimpressed with the visuals in this trailer. I think they look not great. And I know I don't want to be one of those people that's like, it has to look good. It has to look good, because it's like, that's not super important to me. But it has to look better than a game from like 5 years ago.
I think that's the thing for me, is like, it doesn't look bad. And technically it looks very solid in the sense that like even Pokemon trailers are full of frame drops usually, and this one's kind of good. Like it's stable. There's nothing weird going on. There's no Pokemon in the background running at 2 frames per second. It's just like, I feel like the visual design's going to get really tired really fast just being in one city.
Yeah.
and like maybe there's going to be different zones that are all drastically different, and I'll give them the room they need, you know. We'll find out probably this summer when we see it more in a more extended look, I would assume. um so I'll give them that time. I'll see if it's maybe there's more going on than I can see in this trailer, but I'm just worried about getting bored in this world, you know.
Yeah,
So,
I
but I
agree.
loved Legends Arceus so much for its gameplay formula and gameplay loop that I'm gonna be ready for this one, and I'm probably almost definitely gonna play it because that formula was so satisfying. So,
Yeah.
but and no word on Switch 2. Well, it's still just being called a Switch game, so maybe there'll be a Switch 2 version, but I wouldn't put money on it because Pokemon typically is pretty slow about switching to new generations. And I know this one's a bit different because it is just like a technical upgrade and not just like a new console. And it's a new console, but like it's not like a massive shift like Pokemon or like Nintendo typically does. But uh, I wouldn't be shocked if it's only on Switch 1.
Yeah.
So that's the news, Kelly.
Wow. The
What'd you play?
news.
What'd you play this week, Kelly? Or do you want to talk about my game that I have like 30 seconds to talk about on?
Why don't you go first?
Okay, I played Avowed more. That's all I played this week. I bought a house, but between our last episode and now, which means I've been
We
very,
bought a
very, very
zoo.
busy. I bought a zoo. I wish I bought a zoo. That'd be great. I didn't buy a zoo. I bought a house, and I've been doing a ton of stuff with that. So I only played a little bit of Avowed. That's all I've played this week, and I'll say I'm liking it more now. I feel like I'm getting really into like world traversal. I think the traversal is really, really cool, and I'm enjoying it a lot. I think the verticality of the world is super cool. The way you can jump around and climb things, I really like. I love the flow of it, and the writing is not really hooking me in, but that's not so much why I'm in this one. I just like the satisfying loop of like find side quest, go do side quest, come back, he say good job. You go on another side quest, I do. I come back, they say wow, good job. That's like how it felt to me to play like Skyrim back in the day, and that's how I'm feeling, but with way more fun traversal and fun combat. I really, really like the combat, especially now that I'm unlocking more abilities as a magic user. So, but I also get why somebody like Kelly might like it less because the story is not really clicking with me in the same way that some of those other games do.
No, I'm glad you're enjoying Avowed, though. I feel like I need to give it more of a chance because I started playing it and then I kind of got off of it because I was playing other things and I would like to get back into it, but I feel like my attention has shifted more toward the games that I will be talking about. So
Which are
I played two new games this week. Well, the one I played last week, but two new. So if anybody even cares, Kelly's playing new games. Yeah, that's right, folks. Um, I played Lost Records, Bloom and Rage. Bloom is episode 1. I played that. Rage is episode 2. That's not out till April. So
you played all of episode 1?
I'm almost done with it.
Okay.
I did not finish it, just for the record. Um, it's very interesting because I do feel like as I've gotten older, like I'll go back and I'll look at Life is Strange and I was like, that was such a great game. Like I really enjoyed that. And then I don't know, like I look back at it and I'm like it was really fun and I enjoyed that game, but I did have a lot of gripes with it. Um, so I wonder how Lost Records will age for me, but I'm just going to say really enjoying it. It does have the charm of um, Life is Strange, but it feels more refined. Like they've definitely honed the process a little bit more, which is great. Um, the character designs are really awesome. They look like teenagers. I think in a lot of media, and this really works to the medium as a video game, it really works to its credit because you're not using real actors. When you're creating like a TV show about teenagers, the people you're casting are probably going to be in their 20s. So they
Yeah.
don't really look like teenagers. The thing about this game that's great is that the cast, they look like teenagers. They have acne. They're awkward. Um, it just feels more authentic that way. So it follows two timeline, not two timelines, but there's two sections of the game. There's the 90s where you're playing as the young adult character named Swan, she's a teenager at the time. Her name's Swan, and she's like awkward. She makes these friends. They meet over the summer, and they all become really close. And then the other part of the game is you are an adult Swan, and you are meeting back up with said friends to discuss something crazy that happened in the 90s over that summer that everyone alludes to, but no one really talks about it. The music is really good. I was sold because there's a mechanic in the game where, so Swan's whole thing is she loves movies. So she's really into like videography. So she's always carrying around like this big 90s camcorder. And a big mechanic of the game is like you're filming and you're taking memories of things. The game gives you a little bit of freedom to film as you like. And I also, something that I learned is that it was gyroscopic. So I like had I was like, why won't she straighten up? I had the controller on my lap and I was like, she cannot hold this camera straight.
It was you.
It was me all along. But it's really cool because you can edit the memories that you're taking, which is neat. And then the character will comment on them, which I think is it's an interesting mechanic. It's very different from I think obviously Life is Strange's core mechanic was the decision making, but also like reverse time. So obviously this game has a little bit of a different situation, which might change as the episodes go on, but I enjoyed that mechanic a lot. Something I also really enjoyed is that the main character to me is really, really likable. She's, like I said, very awkward teenage girl. Like, as someone who was an awkward teenage girl, I very much understand her. I'm not quite as, I probably was, but like some of the stuff is very cringy, but I think that's sort of tradition for these games because there was there were a lot of lines in Life is Strange that were quite cringy. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. She had something that I really liked. She had under her bed fanfic that she had written, like with paper and pen, of her and Scully from the X-Files. And I was like, that is just so real. And she has a cat. And something really that I loved is that you got to pick the name of the cat early in the game. And depending on the name of the cat, that determined what color the cat was. So I picked the name Pumpkin and I got an orange cat. And I loved Pumpkin. But I'm really enjoying it. I think what I really like is that something that I always wanted from Life is Strange was there were sort of creepy elements, but they never leaned all the way in. Except for creepy in like a real way with the teacher. I don't want to spoil it. I'm sorry. Forget I said that. The game is like 9 years old. So I think if you're not spoiled by now, I do deeply apologize. But you did have 9 years. Sorry. But I think this game leans a little bit more into the horror, which is kind of cool. Obviously, I don't have a full picture yet because I have only played most of the first episode. But I'm looking forward to seeing that expanded on. And I think the other thing I want to mention is the vocal performances of like 3 of the main girls are really, really good. Like the one character I was like, I don't know, sometimes like the vocal performance in a game like this is so important because they're selling you these characters as like real people. So when they actually sound like real people, it makes the experience a lot better and it is a lot more immersive. But I'm enjoying it so far. I got it. I'm playing it, I guess, for free. Not really. I'm paying a monthly fee, but I didn't have to pay to download it. So I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to the next episode, which is out next month. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the story progresses, and especially like the adult storyline, which is it. It does remind me, and I feel like I've been saying this the whole time. It does remind me a little bit of Yellow Jackets. How there's like the young adults, the teenager storyline, and the adult storyline, and how the events of the past are trickling into the future. And I enjoy that a lot, and I'm intrigued to see where the adult storyline is going to go because it feels like a lot of things. I don't know. It's cool how the decisions that you make as a teenager, they are like trickling into adulthood. Like
Yeah.
my character is flirting with this character, so they mention that as adults, like, you know, they had a strained relationship or whatever, or etc. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that expands a little bit.
Yeah. I played like an hour of it, and I don't think I'll be playing more. I don't think it's for me.
Yeah.
I
Did you
just
see the
wasn't
Scully? What color cat did you pick?
orange.
Oh, so it was pumpkin.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that based on that, it was like pumpkin and shadow and something else, and I was like, well, pumpkin's gonna be orange, and I have one orange cat, so but yeah, I don't think it's for me, and that's okay. I just feel like I wasn't quite clicking with the characters, and also it wasn't running super technically well. Like it was kind of frustrating. Like there's like an argument scene between an older guy and most of the cast, I presume, of girls, and like every time it cuts, it was like glitching a tiny bit. Like it would be like there was almost like a reset, like a moment where like things didn't like a frame or two where things weren't quite loading right.
Yeah, that's annoying.
It was distracting me a lot, and like maybe it wouldn't bother some people, or maybe some people wouldn't even notice it, but it was bothering me enough that I was like, ah. And
Yeah,
that scene had so many cuts, and there were like multiple characters on screen at once, so like I think that was just overwhelming things, but it's hard to say.
Yeah,
But
I
I
get
think
that.
I might give it another go, but like I said, I've been so busy.
You can always wait till it's all out anyway. I mean, I assume there will be like 5 or 6 episodes, so you can always wait till they're all out and then just play it as one
It's just
game.
2 parts though.
Oh, is it? I thought it was going to be more episodes. I thought there were going to be more episodes.
I mean, as far as we know, it's just 2. It's part 1 and part 2, Bloom and Rage.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess you can wait a month and then play it all in one go.
What else you play?
I played a tiny skosh of a fraction of Monster Hunter Wilds. I know, you guys. I do this with every Monster Hunter. I get it, and then I play it for like 2 hours, and then I'm like, I'm overwhelmed, and then I stop. But I'm committing.
Okay.
I'm committing because I want to be a part of the conversation. I have FOMO. FOMO is the strongest marketing tactic that works on me. If I see a bunch of other people doing something and I can do it, I will do it. I'll be like, I want to do that, so I'll do it. I want to play that game, so I'll play it. I want to see that movie, so I'll see it. I want a $70 water bottle, so I'll buy it. This was not $70, but it was expensive. I'm holding up a water bottle for listeners who cannot see me.
Sorry, everybody. My audio cut out, so Kelly is gonna hop back in. Who knows how clear of a transition this is gonna be? How clean of it? It's just gonna be. It's gonna be a jumpy little cut there. Sorry, everybody. My fault.
Sorry, folks. It was actually my fault. I sent my tactical palico to Andrew's abode, and I had him unplug the microphone. We are dubbing this the cursed audio episode because I also messed up my audio, which I'm sure listeners you've noticed by now, but that's okay. I'm just gonna let it ride. I shouldn't have even said anything, and you guys would have just assumed that everything was fine. But it's okay. Maybe that I was just underwater or speaking through like a big glass cup.
Oh yeah, the big glass cup that you're well known for speaking into. That's what we should have just said.
The big glass cup. Anyway, like I said, I've played like a fraction of a skosh of this game. I barely touched it, so I am eager to get more into it because I just haven't really had the time. You may or may not know, I'm mostly a PC gamer. I bought Monster Hunter on the PlayStation 5.
Is that because of the
which
performance?
may have been yeah. I don't have a ton of space on my PC right now, and I'm also playing Cyberpunk at the moment, as I do. So I don't want to delete that off my hard drive at the moment because obviously I'm playing it, but it's huge. So it's hard to have another big game at the same time. But anyway, Monster Hunter's beautiful, gorgeous. I love my character. I love my Palico. I made my Palico look like my cat. I think it's and here's a fun setting is you can have your Palico either have like a human speaking voice or they will just meow, but their subtitles will say.
That's cute.
Big fan of that. But yeah, it's interesting so far. I think it's a really cool world. It feels quite different from Monster Hunters in the past. It's this big, grand desert expanse with like other biomes, obviously, that I have yet to explore. Um, I love the character designs; they look so good. I think that's something that the creators, the designers behind Monster Hunter are so good at. Not only the character designs, but the monster designs. It just feels like there's a lot of thought put into them, particularly the monsters, because like obviously there's monsters that have been in every game, but it's like just the regional differences, like why they look a certain way, like it like there's a biology behind it that I think is really cool. So I'm really looking forward to playing more. I'm sorry I don't have more to say. I definitely will next episode, um, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, I really like my character. I really like Alma. She's like so cute. She wears glasses. Um, and I'm not sure about the story. And story is quite important to me, but I like not far in at all, so I can't really say much. But the music's great. The visuals are great. The performance so far has been quite good for me. Like I said, I'm playing it on the PS5. I'm playing it in uh, where I'm like prioritizing frame rate.
Performance mood.
Is that what it's called?
I mean, most of the time it's performance mode, but sometimes it just says prioritize frame rate, prioritize resolution.
Yeah, I am prioritizing frame rate right now, and I have not had any issues with resolution or anything like that. So, but we'll see as the game progresses and like new environments, I guess, new locations, new things. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
but I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to playing.
I've heard a lot of issues that people have been having with technical things. Like it's really apparently kind of bad on PC, which is funny because it's also the most concurrently played game of the series by far. I'm trying so hard not to buy it, Kelly. I shouldn't get it. That'd be bad. I don't have time.
I just think Monster Hunter is one of those games that the learning curve is kind of you've played Monster Hunter before, haven't you?
I've tried twice already and failed both times.
It's the learning curve is just really like it's a very rich series with a lot of history, and I think that people who play it are so familiar that they're not necessarily thinking about that. But when you're first coming into it, it feels like this is a lot, and it's a lot at once, and the learning curve is very steep, and I feel like that's also what I've struggled with in the past. So I'm really hoping that I can get over that hump and play this game and enjoy it, because I think that I will continue to enjoy it. I just think I have to like mentally get through it. Like I have to like lock in. I literally have to lock in. Andrew, I played another game this week, and I forgot to write it on the sheet.
What is it?
But I just want to mention it. It's a PC game. It's called Cabernet. It might also be on other platforms. Let me check real quick for you. You play as a woman in like the late 1800s, I want to say. And she wakes up from the dead, and she has been transformed into a vampire. And you play as her. It's on the Switch, the PS5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X. So it's on all of them. You play as it's kind of like an Eastern European inspired world. You get to make choices based on like, okay, is she more into art and literature? Is she more into science? Is she more into reading / English? Like, and there's a very interesting cast of characters. Anyway, you wake up as a vampire, and you have to sort of acclimate to this world. You can only go out at night. It's a role-playing game. So, like I said, you kind of get to pick your stats, and then you build relationships with other characters, which is kind of cool. I've been enjoying it. It's kind of a change of pace because it's fairly low budget. So it's not super intense on your system, so you can play it on whatever, but it's also, it's you know, some things are a little clumsy, I will admit, but I've really been enjoying it. The music is really good. Um, I'm really enjoying the story so far. I enjoy that you can sort of, so she can either become a nihilist or she can get more humanity, which is cool. But yeah, if you are into role playing games, if you're into vampires, if you're into romanceable characters, I would definitely recommend this game. It just came out on February 20th, so it's still relatively new.
Sounds like a bunch of things that you are into.
Yeah, I think it's like $19, $18 on Steam. So I imagine it's similarly priced everywhere else. But yeah, I'm having a good time. It's not like you're not really doing puzzles, but you're like you have to do certain things like by certain time. Like you get requests, and there's this like Duchess that she has all the vampires doing stuff for her, so you have to do stuff for her. So it's kind of interesting, and I'm interested to see how that is all going to pan out. But that is another game that I bought and I was playing before I got Monster Hunter Wilds.
Well, Monster Hunter might consume your entire life based on the series history.
Perchance.
Kelly, I was telling you before we hit record that this is the last episode I'm recording in my closet. I bought that house and I'll be moving into it shortly, which means the audio closet. My new home does not have a walk-in closet, so I will be sorting something else out. But this closet that has recorded 154 episodes, never again.
Ugh. Goodbye, closet.
It's going to be weird to you because, like, I've had the same exact, like, triangle behind my head and, like, panels and everything for hundreds of episodes.
Yeah.
I'll figure something out.
Yeah. It's small beginnings. You just have to do what I did when we first started and just put a comforter over your head while you were recording.
I will
you're
bake.
Like 800 degrees and miserable, but at least you have some nice cushioning for the sound.
Yeah, I'm just gonna probably put the soundproofing on the wall.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that would be, yeah. I guess you could do that too, I guess.
I think that probably makes a little more sense, Kelly.
Well, you would think that.
I do think that.
But I like to think the bigger picture.
Okay. Whatever you say.
Right. Right. Well, that was an episode. Thank you, everybody, so much for your continuing listenerhood. We really appreciate you. And we hope to see you for the next episode where we talk about other video game news, and maybe I'll talk about Monster Hunter some more, or maybe I'll talk about something completely different. Who knows? You'll just have to tune in to find out, or look at the thumbnail and then tune in to find out. Anyway, thanks so much for listening, everybody. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great day, a great week, a great month, and a great year. And you know what? Next time we talk, I will be 1 year older. So, whoop whoop. Woo-hoo. Okay, bye.